I'm Melissa LAINN, and welcome to the LifeKraft Podcast. LifeKraft is passionate about helping you live your everyday life better by sharing inspiration, awareness, and tools to enable you to create a fulfilling life. There's a saying that goes, the only constant in life is change, and we're all feeling just how rapidly the world around us is changing. In this episode of 7 Minutes to Success, we share a teaching by Louise Hay, motivational author and founder of Hay House, where she shows us how to begin creating more positive changes in our lives. Enjoy.
Tonight, I want to talk about change and transition. And of course, change, that's what we want everybody else to do, isn't it? You know, we don't want to do it, but we want everybody else to change so that our life will be different. And yet, of course, any changes that we're going to do at all have to come from within ourselves. They absolutely must. And change to me means that you change from a feeling of separation and isolation and loneliness and anger and fear and pain and into a state of peacefulness, wonderful peacefulness, where you can relax and really enjoy life as it comes to you, knowing that everything will be all right. I run into that premise that life is wonderful and that everything is perfect in my world, and I move into my greater good always. And that way it doesn't really matter to me which direction my life takes, because I know it's going to be wonderful, so I can enjoy all sorts of things. Gerald Jampolsky says that love is letting go of fear, and there is either fear or there's love. And if you're not in a love space, if you're not coming from the loving space of the heart, then you're in fear and all those other things like isolation and separation and things like that, and loneliness and anger. They're all part of the fear syndrome. And that's really what we want to change from. We want to move from fear into love, and to make that as more or less a permanent state for us. Even the planet itself these days is very much in this period of change and transition. We see it all around us. We're going from an old order into a new order. And some people say it began with the Aquarian age, and at least the astrologers like to describe it that way. But to me, astrology and numerology and palmistries and all those other various methodologies are just ways of describing life. They explain life in a slightly different way, and people use different language to do this. But the astrologers say that we're moving out of the Piscean age and into the Aquarian age now. And in the Piscean age, we reached outside of us and looked to other people to save us. We looked for other people to do it for us. But in the Aquarian age, which we're entering now, people are beginning to go within and find that they have the power to save themselves. And this is a wonderful, liberating thing for us. Now, some people get very frightened because it seems to be responsibility. But actually, we're discovering our ability to respond to life, not in a victim way, but in a way that gives us power. In a way that gives us power. We're finding that we're getting a connection to what the AA people call the higher power, and what I call our higher self, so that we can contribute to saving ourselves. And it's a wonderful feeling when you don't really have to be dependent on an outside person, but to know that you have within you tremendous abilities to make positive changes in your life. You see, if we're victims, then we feel isolated, we feel in pain and fear, and we're always looking for someone else to do it for us. But now we're taking, as I said, responsibility for our own lives, and we're beginning to understand how we can contribute to the experiences that we have and how we can change those experiences if we don't really care for them. And of course, from the moment you decide to make a change until you get your demonstration, as we call it, or when you get what you want, we have this transitional period. And that's when we're moving between the old order and the new order. It's a time of releasing old beliefs and old habits, and of learning and practicing and then living the things that we're working on. The new beliefs or the new feelings or the new methods or the new behaviors. And while you're getting those in place so that they are a natural part of your life, you're going to have a lot of vacillating in that period between the old and the new. And you go back and forth between what was and what you would like to be or what you would like to have. And if you decide that you're going to release an old belief and that you're going to create a new one, during that transitional period, you're going to go back and forth. And this is a time when we often get very angry at ourselves because it's like, well, I know all about the new, why aren't I doing it? I must not be good enough, or I must be a bad person. But that's silly, because anything that we're learning takes time. And you go back and forth until you're really strong in the new belief, until you've gone to the complete shift. You may begin to do an affirmation for something, and you're doing well, and then something happens, and you say, oh, I can't do that, and you go back to your old worry habit again. Well, that's just a period of vacillating. It doesn't mean that you haven't learned anything, and it doesn't mean that you're back where you started. It's just part of that back and forth thing. You're not settled in your new habit yet. And that takes a little time and a little practice and a little patience.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. Remember, this is only a segment of the whole presentation. Please follow the link in the description below to listen to it in full. If you loved this episode, please leave a positive review for us and let us know on social media at the LifeKraft what inspired you. We will connect again in the next episode, and until then, keep creating a life you are excited to wake up to.